everyone. Welcome to the new banned book series presented by the one and only Exposing the Old World Order. The first banned book we will be covering is a book called Persepolis, written by Marjane Satrapi. This graphic memoir depicts growing up during the Iranian Revolution. In March 2013, Chicago public school administrators pulled this book from shelves for graphic language and images not appropriate for general use, but later decided it was appropriate for students above 8th grade. Then, a few years later, in Smithville, Texas, a parent protested this book and it was pulled from most school shelves across Texas. This graphic novel has been challenged in schools across the country, with some schools deciding to ban the book and others voting to keep it in circulation. Introduction. In the second millennium BC, while the Elam nation was developing a civilization alongside Babylon, Indo-European invaders gave their name to the immense Iranian plateau where they settled. The word Iran was derived from Aryan-Navajo, which means the origin of the Aryans. These people were semi-nomads whose descendants were the Medes and the Persians. The Medes founded the first Iranian nation in the 7th century BC. It was later destroyed by Cyrus the Great. He established what became one of the largest empires in the ancient world, the Persian Empire. In the 6th century BC, Iran was referred to as Persia, its Greek name until 1935 when Reza Shah, the father of the last Shah of Iran, asked everyone to call the country Iran. Iran was rich. Because of its wealth and its geographic location, it invited attacks from Alexander the Great, from its Arab neighbors to the west, from Turkish and Mongolian conquerors. Iran was often subject to foreign domination. Yet the Persian language and culture withstood these invasions. The invaders assimilated into this strong culture, and in some ways they became Iranians themselves. In the 20th century, Iran entered a new phase. Reza Shah decided to modernize and westernize the country. But meanwhile, a fresh source of wealth was discovered: oil. And with the oil came another invasion. The West, particularly Great Britain, wielded a strong influence on the Iranian economy. During the Second World War, the British, Soviets, and Americans asked Reza Shah to ally himself with them against Germany. But Reza Shah, who sympathized with the Germans, declared Iran a neutral zone. So the Allies invaded and occupied Iran. Reza Shah was sent into exile and was succeeded by his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who was known simply as the Shah. In 1951, Mohammad Mossadegh, then Prime Minister of Iran, nationalized the oil industry. In retaliation, Great Britain organized an embargo on all exports of oil from Iran. In 1953, the CIA, with the help of British intelligence, organized a coup against him. Mossadegh was overthrown and the Shah, who had earlier escaped from the country, returned to power. The Shah stayed on the throne until 1979 when he fled Iran to escape the Islamic Revolution. Since then, this old and great civilization has been discussed mostly in connection with fundamentalism, fanaticism, and terrorism. As an Iranian who has lived more than half of my life in Iran, I know that this image is far from the truth. This is why writing Persepolis was so important to me. I believe that an entire nation should not be judged by the wrongdoings of a few extremists. I also don't want those Iranians who lost their lives in prisons defending freedom, who died in the war against Iraq, who suffered under various repressive regimes, or who were forced to leave their families and flee their homeland to be forgotten. One can forgive, but one should never forget. Marjane Satrapi, Paris, September 2002. This is me when I was 10 years old. This was in 1980. And this is a class photo. I'm sitting on the far left, so you don't see me, from left to right. Galnaz, Mashid, Marine, Mina. In 1979, a revolution took place. It was later called the Islamic Revolution. Then came 1980, the year it became obligatory to wear the veil at school. And also because the year before, in 1979, we were in a French non-religious school where boys and girls were together. And then, suddenly, in 1980, all bilingual schools must be closed down. They are symbols of capitalism, of decadence. We found ourselves veiled and separated from our friends. And that was that. Everywhere in the streets there were demonstrations for and against the veil. At one of the demonstrations, a German journalist took a photo of my mother. I was really proud of her. Her photo was published in all the European newspapers. And even in one magazine in Iran, my mother was really scared. She dyed her hair and wore dark glasses for a long time. I really didn't know what to think about the veil. Deep down, I was very religious, but as a family, we were very modern and avant-garde. I was born with religion. At the age of 6, I was already sure I was the last prophet. This was a few years before the revolution. Before me, there had been a few others. I am the last prophet. I wanted to be a prophet because our maid did not eat with us, because my father had a Cadillac, and above all because my grandmother's knees always ached. Like all my predecessors, I had my holy book. The first 3 rules came from Zarathustra. He was the first prophet in my country before the Arab invasion. I also wanted us to celebrate the traditional Zarathustrian holidays, like the fire ceremony. Before the Persian New Year, Nowruz, on March 21st, the first day of spring. Only my grandmother knew about my book. Rule number 6, everybody should have a car. Rule number 7, all maids should eat at the table with the others. Rule number 8, no old person should have to suffer. My grandmother said, in that case, I'll be your first disciple. But tell me how you'll arrange for old people not to suffer. I responded with, "It will simply be forbidden." Every night I had a big discussion with God. God, give me some more time. I am not quite ready yet. Yes, you are, celestial light. You are my choice, my last and my best choice. Except for my grandmother, I was obviously the only one who believed in myself. My parents were called in by the teacher. Your child is disturbed. She wants to become a prophet. My parents responded, "What about it?" The teacher responded, "Doesn't this worry you?" "No, not at all," said my parents.